ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्. Verse 28. Verse 28. The one who has the clear vision of Atma does not destroy himself. Samam pashyanti sarvatra samavastita Ishwaram na hinasti atmanam
hinasti atmanam tato yati
param gatim. Samam, the same. Samavastitam, the one who obtains in the same form. Ishwaram, the Lord. Sarvatra, everywhere. Pashyan he, because of seeing. Atmanam, himself. Atmana, by himself. Na hinasti, he does not destroy. Tataha, therefore, yati, he reaches. Param gatim, the ultimate end. Because of seeing the Lord as the same, as the one who obtains in the same form everywhere, he does not destroy himself by himself. Therefore, he reaches the ultimate end.
So it is very, in the sense, very supercharged statement, basically. So, what is the, like, in the sense, I will send you one write-up also. After this, I will send you one write-up after the class.
Okay.
This is that he says that you have the sense by seeing the Lord as himself. By seeing the Lord as himself. That is, we have been discussing this. That the being which is Desa Kala Vastu Aparichinnam, and the Ishvara Swarupa, because this Desa Kala Vastu Aparichinnam, awakened being, not being an object, not bound by time, not bound by space, is very, very, in the sense, it is so very total, complete in itself. Ishvara cannot be any different. If we understand this, that is, one who knows Atmanam by himself, when he knows very clearly, he will be able to see that Samam Pashyati, the Lord also cannot be any different. It has to be Samam. And naturally, he has to be in a very being, which has been discussed, Kshetrajna Chapi Mam Vidhi. So, in all beings, that means the whole Jagat, in all beings, and also why his this thing is, I think is coming as Sharada Vishwanathan. Prashant. Okay. So, and so the Swarupa oneself is the Swarupa Vishwara, and he is obtaining in all, Sarvatma. So, once a person who knows this, he does not destroy himself by himself. In the sense, he reaches the ultimate end. So, almost like it is a conclusive statement. We have to get the import of this without any compromise. We have to understand this thoroughly. I will send you a write-up after this class. I will send you a write-up where it talks about that. Just go through that, and if you have any doubt, we can discuss it later. So it is almost like having explained what is Kshetra and Kshetrajna, Purusha, Prakriti, how you have to qualify yourself by Jnanam, Maicha, Ananya, Yogena, Bhakti, Rabhya, Vicharini, Vivikta Desa, Sevitvam, Marathi, Jana Samsati, Adhyatma Jnana, Nityatvam, Tattva Jnana, Artha Darshanam, Eta Jnanam, Vidhi Proktam, Jnanam, Metatunita. Actually, almost he said how you go about it, qualify yourself, then Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, just keep studying. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam, you understand it. It is not a philosophy, it is an understanding your reality. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam means what? That one. So once you are very clear, then this is the only thing. This understanding and this Jnanam, Jnanam as a means, Jnanam as the end, will flank both the other two paths. Kshetra and Kshetragya, Purusha and Prakriti. In between is Jnana and Nyaya. So once you understand this, then you understand yourself and your Swarupa and Ishvara Swarupa and being the Sarvatma in all. So then there is no question of, that is the ultimate end of this learning as well as your what do you call it, the purpose of life in terms of understanding. So and because it is what do you call, there is no doing beyond that. No doing beyond this, because the purpose of understanding is what? We want to be complete, we want to be a happy person at all times in all situations. If that is what is already given as an understanding by this, then you don't have to do anything to become happy. Thereafter, what you have to do is just live your life in wherever you are, whatever you are, appropriately. What Shastra talks about, Sahaja Tatatmyam, and which I have also told Jadaval Lokam Acharya. In the sense, just like be in sync with people around, be harmonious with people around, whatever it is. If they have some issues, we can sort it out fine. Otherwise, glad acceptance. And the other thing is, do whatever, in the sense, whatever we have to play the role in terms of wherever we are placed, play the role appropriately so that it doesn't disturb. This is Buddhi Bedam Na Janayet. Even that is told. Buddhi Bedam Na Janayet. You don't have to take, you should not go with a gudgel. No, everyone should know. I know, so you also should know. We cannot keep doing that. Since, okay, just wherever possible, just interact. Wherever there is an opportunity, where there is a satsang, participate. Otherwise, you live a life with a common, very serene atmosphere, serene feeling inside that you are happy. That is what is. That is aftermath of knowledge. In the prior to that, you have to qualify. What everything is told, how you can qualify, all that, the way in which you live your life, middle path. No, like from yoga onwards, no too much of eating or too much of sleeping or too much of indulging in activity, and be alert, apramatta, and be cheerful, chitta samadhanam, chitta shuddhi, dharma anushar life, and then naishalyam, focus in, keep on doing this satsang and shravanam, mananam, contemplation and all that. Keep doing that and you will grow into it. So you will grow into it. And then it will become like a Polaroid, growing clarity, this understanding. You will find that every time you come across and you are able to bring it, you are alert to the situation and act appropriately, you will find the reward and say, yeah, it works. It will, Swami used to give a beautiful example, very funny example. He used to tell that Vak Tapas, Mauna Vyakya, Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Bhanam. And all that Vak Tapas also generally he says that, as I have told before also, Satyam Vada, Rutam Vada, Hitam Vada, Satyam Api, Rutam Api, Hitam Api, Apriyam Navada. Which I had told before. Yeah. So somebody attended the lecture in a foreign country and he was listening to, and he wanted to practice Vak Tapas and all that. So he was there at home. And of course, the typical foreign situation and all, both of them were working and all that. One day, the sense he was, when she cooks, he does the dishes. When he cooks, she does the dishes. That is a broad culture and all that. So they were living like that, but there were always issues, some where she was not in sync with him and them. She was more outgoing and all that. He was more introspective. So these things were going on. So the Vak Tapas, once he heard for some time, whenever she argues, he never picked up any argument with her. He kept quiet. Just kept quiet. 1 month later, she packed her bags and went off. And Swamiji, and he told Swamiji, it works. What you said works. That is how the story ended. What I am trying to say, so it is all like, it is, even though it is jocularly told, but in the sense you have to have that Shraddha in the teaching and keep going about life in total harmony with the world around. That is the crux of the whole thing. And then it will work. That is definite, no doubt about it. Okay, yeah.
Swamiji, why does he say does not, na hinasti, he does not destroy himself?
He does not destroy himself by himself. In the sense, otherwise, in the sense it is unlike, like otherwise, Atma Hani. In the sense, a person who leaves this world without knowing this Atma Jnanam, it is equivalent to Atma Hatya. Shastra says.
Okay.
Shastra says, Kripana, in the sense, you are a miser. You have not used your buddhi for what it is meant for. So you have been a Kripana in your life, you have not understood life in this manner, as the Shastra says. That means that is equivalent to Atma Hani, Atma Hatya. But one place it's Purusha, this, what do you call it? Upanishad itself tells that it is Atma Hatya. That much of serious, that is what they call Nindastuti. The methodology is, they will tell, all Upanishad, it will tell what is positive about it, and it is what is also, if you don't understand what is negative about it. Idea is to emphasize. Emphasis.
Yeah.
If you don't understand, if you leave, it's as good as committing suicide. Because you have come for what? That you have not achieved. What is the point in achieving everything else? That is why he says one does not destroy himself by himself. That is that meaning. The unlike example, in order to give the seriousness of your personal pursuit, it gives you that feeling. My God, otherwise I will destroy myself by myself. Better let me understand. It is a practice in Shastra. Ninda Stuti, both are always there. Yeah.
Swamiji, I'm having power cut at home. Second, broadband not working. So I'm coming from mobile data to wife's phone and having text from mobile. Just want to let you know.
Swamiji, in this connection, I just want to share one thing. Atma Hati, that we had gone for a discourse, Sundar Kumar discourse. That he mentioned, the people think by committing suicide, the end of their worries or whatever, anxieties, whatever it is, they think because of that they commit suicide, but they don't know that this has to be again next birth. They'll have to go through this suffering.
In the sense,
see, Atma Hati is the end of suffering. It is not. Please understand.
Actually, that's why I'm saying, I will send you a note at the end of this. I will send you a note. Go through that. You will find that body is not even an entity. Shastra says neither body is an entity nor mind is an entity. They are like alphabet soup. That is, the whole thing is changing. All these are only elements. Just imagine just ocean, lot of fish are moving around. Likewise, all our cells and everything is moving in the body of space. But because of the skin cover and sense of touch prevails all over the edges of our body, we think that the body is an entity. If you remove that sense of touch and the skin cover, what is happening is all the Yadik Kraste Gadabaram. A whole lot of activities are going on. Whatever activities are going outside in the world, so much amoebas are there, so many cells are there, so many activities, so many pumps and machines are there going inside, so many joints are operating continuously. Very busy life inside, as much as outside. If you remove this cover and if you mix it up, it will all be one alphabet soup, just continuous motion of various cells. That's all life is. So if you think that the body and mind are reality, no. The whole thing is happening in the awareful being. The awareful being, the whole motion is happening. And everything, cell also is not a cell. If you look at it, It will only space, because some electrons and protons are moving inside. And if you look at them, if you look at it with a serious, very high intensity light, the proton and electron will vanish. Only light will be there. So it's all space only, but it gives an impression that there are some cells, some bodies and all that. Why? Because it is the light of consciousness, the awareful being's glory. Whole thing is possible, and it is not, it is inevitable. In the sense, it cannot be anything like otherwise. Because that is what I have mentioned in that also. The logic given is, Shastra gives Sadeva Satyam, that Chandogya 6th chapter also, and Kathopanishad says Anima, meaning smallest of the smallest atom, which I have told before also. Anuron, Aniyan, Mahato, Mahiyan. So, the smallest of the small and biggest of the biggest, being infinite, timeless, spaceless, not an object, naturally its glory, because you understand how the Anu's glory is. And sun is what? Nothing but Anu. Nuclear fission and fusion continuously happening. So much of light, so much of energy, so much of matter is coming out. Whole life is possible only because of sun. And here, from the sun we take some solar little bit and make power. So, the whole thing, if sun can be, because of the smallest particle, it can give so much of energy and matter. Smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest is you, the being, the awareful being, not an object. So it doesn't have dimension. So when you explode, you get Jagat. So it is nothing but the manifestation of the awareful being in each one of us. That is what he is telling. The awareful being is your Swarupa as well as Lord's Swarupa and the Jagat Swarupa, Sarvatma. This is what we have to understand. This is the reality. This is what I have put in that note. I will send it to you. Keep it and go through that. Yeah.
In all beings, he sees Ishvara, the Lord, as the one who obtains very well, samavastitam, samyak avastitam, as the Atma, and is therefore in the same form, samam avastitam, in all beings. Without undergoing any change, Ishvara, the Lord of the entire creation, is recognized as the Atma of all beings. Seeing this, he sees himself non-separate from Ishvara and thus does not destroy himself by himself. Because of that, he goes to the ultimate end, which is moksha. It is the ultimate end in the sense that it does not come to an end and there is no further end beyond that.
So clear. Yeah.
Shankara explains what is meant by saying that he does not destroy himself by himself. In the world, we see that nobody destroys himself by himself. So what is the purpose of saying this here? Only when there is a possibility of something is there a necessity to negate it. For example, there is no sentence in the Vedas saying not to drink fire. It will say not to drink alcohol because there is a possibility of it, but there is no necessity to prohibit the drinking of fire. Here Sankara cites the Vakya na prithiviyam na antarikshe agnihi chetavyaha. There is no prohibition for the sacrificial fire, such as do not set the fire on earth, in space, in the sky, etc. Because the possibility for this is on earth alone, not elsewhere. Similarly, what is the necessity to say that he does not destroy himself by himself, unless others destroy themselves by themselves? What we see is just the opposite. Everybody wants to live. Even a person who commits suicide really wants to live, but he cannot bear his unhappiness, and therefore he puts an end to this body, thinking that will put an end to his sorrow. Everybody wants to live and live happily. Nobody wants to destroy himself. When this is clear, what is the purpose of saying he does not destroy himself by himself? Shankara answers that this is not a problem because it is proper to say that all those who are ignorant are completely indifferent to the Atma and therefore are destroying themselves.
So the answer what you heard in the lecture of Sundar Kumar and what I said, both have come. Yeah.
Everything else can stray from your sight but never Atma. It is always self-evident and never becomes remote. In spite of it being eternally present, because he is ignorant, a person completely sets it aside, taking the anatma, the body-mind sense complex, as the atma. Naturally, he becomes a karta and therefore a bhokta. Being a frightened, limited karta, he is always doing both good and bad karma and accumulates punya papa. Once his life here is over, he has accomplished nothing and therefore has destroyed himself. Because of the punya papa, he assumes another body which also he destroys in time.
So that's why in Kathopanishad, instead of saying that one goes from birth to birth, Raja says one goes from death to death. See, if you think birth to birth means you're positive, you feel nice about it. But when you are so told you are going from death to death, means you have not achieved anything. You are dying and again you are going to die. What is the point in doing the chakra? That's what, yeah.
In Tamil, there is a verse which says that in this great beautiful park, the world, a beggar, the jiva went on asking the pot maker, Ishvara, to make for him a pot, the human physical body. Because of his prayers, he was given a good body, a vessel that is meant to be filled with knowledge. He was so ecstatic about the pot that he put it on his head and began dancing. இது வந்து இந்த நந்தவனத்தில் ஒரு
ஆண்டி.
Exactly, same, yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Naturally, it fell down and broke. He did not fill it up with knowledge. Assuming new bodies one after the other, the ignorant person keeps destroying them because of abuse of his free will, the very endowment that can release him from samsara. It is something like a person who is bound up in rope, being given a knife. Instead of cutting loose his bonds, he cuts his own throat. He destroys himself by himself. Even though Atma is the absolute reality, the only thing that is due to ignorance, he is destroyed.
No. Even though Atma is absolute reality, the only thing that he is, due to ignorance, he is destroyed.
This is because the result moksha that is already obtaining as centered on Atma, himself he has denied himself. On the other hand, the one who has a clear vision of Atma does not destroy himself, he has made use of his body and has not failed to recognize his identity with Ishvara and therefore gains moksha. Now an objection is raised that it is not proper to say that one recognizes Atma as the same in all beings because each person is different. Each one is a karta and does his own actions that produce their own unique results for him to enjoy as a bhokta. Each one enjoys his own karmaphala, both past and present. There are numerous kartas, each one distinguished from the other by his own attributes of punya papa. The following verse answers this objection.
Verse 29. The one who sees oneself as akarta alone sees the truth. Prakriteiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashaha yah pashyati tatatmanam akartaram sa pashyati cha and prakritya eva by prakriti alone sarvasaha in all ways karmani actions kriyamanani are being performed yaha pashyati he who sees tatha so too he who sees atmanam the self akartaram as a non-doer saha pashyati he alone sees. He who sees that by prakriti alone actions are being performed in all ways and so too the self as a non-doer he alone sees. Shvetashvatara Upanishad says mayam tu prakritim vidyat mayinam tu maheshwaram. May one know maya to be the cause, whereas the one who wields that maya is Ishvara. 4.10 Maya is the material cause that undergoes change, parinami upadana karana. Ishvara, Brahman, is
Which we have seen, the 4.10, that, what is it? Ajopi sanna abhi atma bhi sanna bhutanam vishwaro bhi sanna prakritim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atma mayaya. How the Prakriti, Bhagavan Prakriti has created the world. The same thing in the Gita, that is in Mayam tu Prakritim Vidhi is the Upanishad. And there also there is a beautiful sense. Say, we know, as we have discussed that, we have got a platform, we can understand that the Atma, the being, is, what do you call it, is nothing to do with the body, mind, sense complex. Body, mind, sense complex is what I am aware of, what is happening in my mind, etc., etc. So, the body, mind, sense complex is having all forms and names and cells and functioning and all that. Whereas Atma, the being, does not have a form, does not have a, what do you call it, dimensionless. And you know, the distinction between the two. In spite of that, even though we can understand it, we have told, like, even though I know that my body is fat, but I say I am fat, which we have discussed before also.
Yeah.
So when the body is having some pain, I say I am in pain, etc. So that tasmin tad buddhi and tasmin adat buddhi, and what you call itaretara bhava, meaning Ham is confused with idam, that is this body, and this body is confused with aham. Listen, body means I means body. B equal to A equal to B is our normal way of looking at it. So this confusion, he says, there is no reality change. The reality has not changed. It is only your perception. It is all a confusion. So what it says is, it is only a confusion. So the solution is removing the confusion. Not to do anything with Atma or anything to do with the body, mind, sense, and activities and all. Both will continue because they all have their body, mind, senses will operate on the basis of the guna prakriti. Like sattva guna, raja guna, tama. When you are sleepy, when you have tama guna, you will go to sleep. When you are fresh and active, you will be doing lot of activities. When you are in a calm mind, you will study. So this will, all the three will happening throughout the day. It will be happening. Sattva guna, raja guna, tama guna, body, mind, senses will keep continuously working, and I, the being, will be there, dormant, and it will be lighting up. Whether you are ignorant, it will light up the ignorance. Whether you are buddhiman, you will light up the buddhiman also. That will happen. That is not going to change. What you will change? The confusion, that identification, wrong identification will go. So, so that is what he says, like nothing else changes except this. You understand that is why it's purely understanding. It is not doing, it is just understanding the realities. That's all. That's what it means when he says, Mayam tu prakritim vidyat mayinam tu maheshwaram. Just know, may one know Maya to be the cause. That's all. You have to know, that's all. Nothing else have to be, because this is only a prakriya. Like as I have told you, Maya is only a prakriya. The sattva guna, raja guna, tama guna model is only a prakriya to explain why the changes happen in your body, mind, senses and all. And as far as I am concerned, we don't have to explain. There is no Purusha, it is Purusha, and Prakriti has nothing to do with it, so you don't have to explain. So, once you understand, the whole thing is happening continuously, changing in the Prakriti because of its Bhava, the Swarupa remains, and there is no point in confusing one with the other, because there is no real truck. Adhyasena sambandha. Brahma Sutra says the reality is only, the sambandha is only adhyasa, meaning there is no possibility of any mixing up, but still you get mixed up. Okay, if there is a real mix up, like for example, milk and water can mix up. So you have to make effort you have to do something to split. Whereas in this particular case, there is no possibility of mixing up. So the mixing up is what? Maya only. There is no mix up, but it appears mixed up. Yama, Sama. It is not mixed up. It is perfectly, everyone is in its place. You are happy being as Atma, perfect. Nothing can happen to that. And the body, mind, senses will keep happening. Whatever has to happen will keep happening. So only what you have to do is to remove the confusion or identification. Because of I being, all these are functioning, that is fine, but they are not, nothing to do with me. That understanding has to be there. B equal to A, but A is not equal to B. Then that once that clarity, what is important, the understanding has to have growing clarity by constant Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam and constantly living that reality understanding when you go out. So this is precisely what we need to do so that there is no doing involved. There is only knowing and being. That is the beauty of this whole Tatparya. That way, by the look of it, it should be the easiest thing to do. Because you don't know doing involved, only being. And no one else is involved. It is up to you. Even when you are in a society, when you are in a family and all that, as far as you are concerned, the understanding is very much yours. Okay, if others, they can tow along and you can have satsang, fine. Otherwise, you have to help them in whatever pursuit they have, that's all. But your understanding is not dependent on others' understanding. Very important. So all these are very, you have to be very clear about this. Yeah.
Ishvara, Brahman is the cause upon which this Maya is based and which undergoes no change at all, Vivarta Upadana Karana. By this Prakriti alone, Bhagavan says, actions are performed. By saying Eva alone, he emphasizes that it is not by anything else. All the various karmas, both religious Vaidika and secular Laukika, are being performed by Prakriti alone, and they are being done in various ways, that is, by various organs of action. Maya itself does not perform action, but has undergone change to become Hiranyagarbha, the total subtle body, and Virat, the total physical body. At the individual level, Prakriti has modified to become the physical body, senses and mind. Therefore, when a person performs any action, it is because of Chaitanya consciousness, though consciousness itself performs no action. Because of the Purusha, which remains in Prakriti without performing any action, Prakriti gets vivified and performs all actions. Thus, we have this peculiar connection, Samyoga, which, as we saw before, is a superimposition, Adhyasa, due to avidya. Therefore, Shankara says, the karmas are initiated by the organ of speech and the physical body. Atma, the Purusha, who is pure consciousness, does not perform any action. Atma remains independent of all the upadhis, meaning their properties do not belong to Atma. This one verse states clearly that all that has been said here. The one who sees this sees things as they are.
Correct. Whatever I have said, the same thing he has also.
Yes.
So it should be very clear. Yeah.
There is no pramana to say Atmas are many. Shankara adds here that there is no means of knowledge, pramana, to show that there are different Atmas. There is no tenability of a pramana for differences in a self, that it is not a doer and is without qualities and attributes like space. Being free from any limbs, it does not perform any action, and being the same, non-dual, there is no pramana to establish differences in Atma. Even your own perception denies this, because what you can objectify is the body, and you cannot say, I am the body, and at the same time, I am the one who is aware of the body. On the contrary, Shastra says, Atma is witness consciousness. It is free from attributes. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha.
Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha.
Sakshi
It is
Cheta
again the
Kevalo
Shvetaswara Upanishad. Shvetaswara Upanishad.
Shvetaswara Upanishad 6.11. And what the Shastra says cannot be denied because Atma is you, self-evident pure consciousness. It is free from attributes and not an object, but the essence, the subject of everything. An attribute is something because of which you recognize a substance, and that which distinguishes one object from another. How can you distinguish Atma from any object when it has no attributes and there is no object which is separate from Atma? In different words, he says the same thing in the next verse.
Yeah. Verse 30. Yeah. Yatha bhuta pratak bhavam ekastamanu pashyati तत एव च विस्तारं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा यदा when bhuta prakriti pratak
Bhuta pratak bhavam. Pratak means
bhuta
separate.
pratak bhavam, the condition of distinction in the beings, ekastam, as having its existence in one Atman, anupashyati, one sees clearly, tada, then, tata evacha, and from that alone, vistaram, its projection, brahma sampadhyate, he gains Brahman. When one sees clearly the conditional distinction in the beings as having its existence in one Atman, and from that alone it sees its projection, then he gains Brahman. First, Bhagavan said, the one who sees Atma as the same in all beings, which means the immanence of Atma is recognized. In this, the beings may be construed as separate from the Atma. So now he has to resolve that in order to show non-duality. Here he says that he also sees this duality of the beings as having that being in the Atma alone. Once you say Atma is one and the same, all the minds and senses, etc., have that being in and are non-separate from that Atma. The existence of each one of them is non-separate from the existence, which is Atma. The only Nama Rupa is different. Every Nama Rupa reduces to existence alone, and therefore he says they all have the being in one Atma. Anupashyanti means he sees in keeping with the Shastra as taught by a teacher. He recognizes himself being all as it is revealed in the statements of Shruti like, the self indeed is all this. Atmaiva idam sarvam.
This is Chandogya Upanishad Vakya, the 7th chapter, that is, which I have told. 7th chapter is Sanat Kumara teaches Narada. That is the story. Narada says, I know everything, all grammar, all 7 types of grammar, all Vedas, everything, I know, still I am not happy. Then Sanat Kumara tells him, you know everything except what you are supposed to know. You have not understood Atma Jnanam, that is why. So, Atmavid Sokam Tarati. There he says, there this statement comes. Atmaiva idam sarvam.
That means the status of existence for this entire creation, consisting of varieties of things, has its being in the Atma alone. Not only does it have its existence in Atma, from that alone is its coming into being, its projection, tataha vistaram. Like pots have come from clay, all the Nama Rupas have come from Atma alone. All this creation blossoms forth from Atma. Therefore, Atma is not only the conscious intelligent cause, nimitta karana, but also the material cause, upadana karana. Thus, all this is nothing but Atma. Shankara quotes a sentence here that says, from the Atma is prana, from the Atma is hope, from the Atma is memory, from the Atma is space, from the Atma is fire, from the Atma is water, from the Atma is coming into being and disappearance, from the Atma is food. Atmaha prana, Atma.
Atmataha prana, Atmata asha, asha means hope. Atmataha smara, memory. Atmataha akasha, then Atmataha tejaha, like Agni. Atmataha apaha, water. Atmataha avir bhavati, tiro bhavati. Meaning, tiro bhavati means kannu modradhu, avir bhavati means opening. So, avir bhavati, tiro bhava, ava atmataha annam. Annam means food. Everything, say Atma is, this is, it's a Upanishad Vakya and Chandogya Upanishad. There again, he is telling what is the Atma with Sokam Tarati. When Sanat Kumara teaches Narada, he tells this particular statement. Atma is everything. Atma sustains everything. Like that.
Yeah. In this way, everything is born of me alone, has its being in me, and disappears into me. There is no other Ishvara separate from me, sitting somewhere and creating something. When a person is able to see this clearly, he gains Brahman, Brahma Sampadhyate, meaning he understands that he is Brahman. Seeing of me everything has come, I sustain everything, exist in the form of everything, and everything resolves into me. He is gaining Brahman. He does not become Brahman because even before knowing it, he was Brahman. That is why knowledge is all that is required. Because he did not know that he is Brahman, Shruti had to say, you are Brahman. It did not say, you will be a Brahman, you will be Brahman later. It has been clearly shown that Atma is one non-dual consciousness in all the kshetras and nothing is separate from Atma, which obtains in all the bodies, and all the bodies are non-separate from Atma. Then by association, will Atma not have the limitation of the body-mind-sense complex? In answer to this is the next verse.
Yeah, by association. Says we are right now we all know we are constantly both Atma and Anatma are together. So the question is whether Atma will get contaminated. That is, since it is a question which is a very this is a person who understands, he won't ask that question. But if he doesn't understand, he will ask this question. So that he is going to answer.
Verse 31, Atma has no beginning. Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah sharirastopi kaunteya nakaroti na lipyate. Kaunteya, O Kaunteya, I am this avyayah, imperishable, Paramatma, limitless self, Anaditvat, being beginningless, Nirgunatvat, being without attributes, Sharirastha api, even though obtaining in the body, na karoti, it does not perform action, na lipyate, it is not affected. Kaunteya, Arjuna, this limitless self, being beginningless and without attributes, is imperishable. Even though obtaining in the body, it does not perform action and is not affected by results of actions. A physical body is born, it has a beginning.
Can you hear me properly?
Yeah. Read.
A physical body is born,
Okay.
it has a beginning, whereas Atma is without a beginning, Anadi, and therefore does not have the problem inherent in something that begins. Anything that has a beginning declines and is destroyed, because if it has a beginning, subject to time. What it was the previous moment is entirely different from what it is now. So, for anything subject to time, destruction is inevitable. Atma, however, is free from time. Or, Anadi can mean it has no cause, since it is the cause of the entire creation. What is there in the beginning is the cause with reference to any creation. Before the creation of the pot, there was clay, and thus clay is its cause. Similarly, before the creation was this Atma, and thus it is the cause that itself has no cause. That means it is not an effect, and therefore is not born. Atma has no attributes.
Can you explain this?
Last sentence.
Yeah. In the sense, before that is when before the creation means what? Before time, space, bodies came into being, there is only a singularity. The uncreated singularity is there. In that, when that was born, we cannot ask, because it is a singularity. For singularity, we cannot ask why, when, what, and all that, because nothing else is there. And even time and space is going to come later only. First, time and space will come, and then bodies will come. So, when time and space itself has not come, there is no question of when and where. Because time and space itself has not come. Only the Atma is there, the being is there. So, it is a causeless cause. So, that's why it is not an effect, and therefore it is not born. So, because we keep extending that question till the time we reach singularity where the reality levels are different. It is something like once you wake up from the dream, the dream reality goes. Whatever is applicable in the dream is not applicable in the waking. Because you know very well that the dream was a different reality. So you won't ask how I saw a tiger, the dream. You won't ask that because you know the reality is different. The same way, Atma is the reality, and once it is the bodies are born, say space time has come, it's a different level of reality, changing. Changing, I won't call it a reality, changing phenomena. So, once the changing phenomena is the effect, the cause is the changeless, you cannot ask when was the changeless born. It is a oxymoron. The question itself is not valid. How can changeless be born? Changeless born meaning it is undergone change. Then you cannot call it changeless. We are saying changeless. So that is why that question is not applicable.
Swamiji, in the Veda they say no sokamayata bahu prajaya.
Yeah, that is all prakriya. That's what I am trying to say. That is all only a prakriya to say how the creation was born. Because we say that there is a creation. So it tries to validate for you. It gives you various prakriya methodology, Panchabhuta inside, Panchabhuta outside, then the order of dharma, order of karma, order of physical order, chemical order, what is the connection. Everything is postulated to validate what is already being perceived and observed by us. We say that if you, that is what even Shastra also, it doesn't mandate any karma. If you, Swarga Kamaha Ajete, meaning, if you want to go to Swarga, you do this. It doesn't say Swarga exists. It doesn't say, the sense you are a Karta. You assume that you are a Karta and you want to go to Swarga. So, because of that, okay, if you want to go to Swarga, you do this. It validates you in the first place and tells you what you should do to live a sane life. And then it says, by doing all this, you are not going to get freed from happiness. Then what is the solution? You have to ask. Then it will say, Atmajnana. So that is how the Shastra works. Shastra is that is why it's called Prakriya. It is not, Srishti itself is only a Prakriya, which I have told. Adhyaropa apavadabhyam nishprapancham prapanchati. Nishprapancham is the reality. Prapancham is only a Prakriya.
So that means even Shankara, Bhagavad Pada also says creation is there, but only for our...
Yes, it's clear. Bhagavad Pada, what he does, he follows the Upanishad. See, for them, Vedas and Upanishad are the thing. He does only Bhashya for what is told in the Upanishad. The Upanishad gives a Prakriya, he also gives explanations. That's all. But when it comes to finally Mandikya and all that, where everything is said, like your waking reality and your is as good as a dream, once it is said, then it says, Ajaya Manam Bahuda Vijayate. So Ajopi Sanna, Vyayatma Sanna, Bhutana, Ishwaro Sanna, same thing, what Gita says. So Ajaha is the reality. So when there is a question of creation, when Ajaha is the reality, that also Bhashyakara will faithfully give Bhashya further. Because Ajaha is, perhaps he will happily do it. Because that is the reality. In the sense, just because it is available in the Shastra, it doesn't mean whatever is told in the Shastra, that they made it very clear. That is why some places they give Panchabhuta, some places give three, only Agni, Apa and Earth is considered. And some places 5 to Akasha and Vayu are considered. Then if they are real, if they are reality, then throughout all the Upanishads, everywhere Panchabhuta should be said. Then when that question is asked, Shastra itself says only a Prakriya. It's just a methodology. I can use the same Pythagoras theorem, I can explain by doing different constructs. I can put a box on each of the sides and show and tell this, cut this square and cut this square and paste it there. Then you will find that the total square equal to sum of the side square. And somebody else can use a different construct and explain the same Pythagoras theorem. But once the theorem is understood, a square plus b square equal to c square, then nobody needs a construct. A person who is in the advanced mathematics, he doesn't to say all the time, he doesn't carry it in his head. He has already disposed it off, given it to his children. Okay, so that is how it is. The Prakriya is only useful for understanding. Once understanding happens, Prakriya is no more. That same way. Once you know that you are Ajaha, you are not born nor gone. Ajopi Sanna Vyata. First thing itself he is told, first sloka of Gita. Asochan Anvasochastvam Prajnam Vadamsha Bhasase Gatasun Agatasun Nanusochanti Panditaha. Meaning neither you are born nor you are gone. So, where is the question of Srishti? Srishti comes only when there is birth and death. So that is, because that is a reality. Reality is obvious. Like once you know the awareful being which has no limbs and no, that's what he says. There is no limbs, no time, no space. You are the singularity, you are the only thing. And everything also is nothing but the same, but appears. That means what? There is no real creation. My own being is appearing as so many. That is the understanding. That is the final understanding. That is the ultimate understanding. That's what he is telling, yeah.
Prashant.
Atma has no attributes. Then again, this limitless Chaitanya Atma has no attributes, Nirguna. If it has any quality, then by contact it can become different. Milk, for example, has its own attributes, and if you pour some water into it, which also has its own attributes, it will become clean. Any object which has an attribute will change due to the attributes of another object which is in conjunction with it. For that to happen, it must be a substance enjoying its own attributes. Then, because of association, it will gather the attributes of the object with which it is associated. But first, that nucleus, which is a substance with qualities, is required. Now, Atma is entirely without attributes. Consciousness is not an attribute, and neither is eternality. If consciousness were an attribute, there should be another substance in which consciousness is based. Is that substance consciousness or non-consciousness? If it is non-consciousness, consciousness cannot be its attribute. Moreover, anything you think of becomes an object of consciousness, and therefore there cannot be a substantive for which consciousness is an attribute. Nor is consciousness a substantive because it is an attribute in vastu. Everything else is an object and so has attributes. Even Maya has the attributes of the three gunas and therefore is subject to change. Atma Chaitanya, on the other hand, has no attributes. Maya is also witness, Sakshya, while Atma is the witness, Sakshi. When even space cannot take on any attributes, how can consciousness, the very basis of space, assume attributes? Even though the mind is not separate from it, problems of the mind cannot be transferred to Atma, nor can those of the body, the senses of the world with its varieties of problems. There is no nucleus to attract them, because Atma does not undergo any change. It is avyaya.
Avyaya meaning without limbs. Cannot change, yeah.
If it were a substance with qualities, then those qualities could change. The body, for example, which was once young, is now old because having attributes, it changes. Atma having no attributes does not change and can therefore never be destroyed. Atma does no action. This being so, even though it obtains in the body, Atma does not perform action. Sharira sopi na karoti. When everything is Atma, why is it said that Atma is obtaining in the body? Sharirastaha. That is because the body is the place where Atma can be recognized. Upalabdhi sthana. Generally,
Upalabdhi sthana means where it is available for you to understand. So, yeah.
Generally, when action is performed by the body, we think Atma is engaged in action. This is an error as we have seen. Atma is akarta and has no action whatsoever centered on it, though in its presence all activities take place. Yes, even though it obtains in the body, it performs no action. When it performs no action, it will not be affected by the result of action, na lipyate. It remains illumining the results of all action. As a desire arises, Atma illumines the desire, while having no desire itself, and it illumines the action taken to fulfill the desire, all performed by the Upadhi, with the various instruments at its disposal. When the result comes, whether it is as expected, Atma will just illuminate, not being affected at all. Shankara makes a statement here that
No,
the
but
one
before that, Swamiji, can you explain this a little more?
Which one?
This paragraph.
Yeah, when it performs, that is, see, that is what, like when it performs no action, it will not be affected by the result of action in the sense, it is not when we know very well that the Atma, as of now, right now, as we talk, as we hear, it is because of the Atma, the being, you are able to talk and you are able to listen. Okay, but we know very well the listening and talking takes place through the organs of action, ears and mouth. And the mouth and the ears have to be supported by the mind. So the mind has to be alert and the mind has to light up the organs of action. And because of that, my talking and your listening happens. And the mind itself cannot, unless Atma lights it up. The Chaitanya lights it up, mind cannot function. Because mind also is only an instrument. Instrument means jada. It is not self-luminous. It has to be activated. That is why when you go to sleep, mind is not active. So if at all it is active, it has to be active all the time. But it is not active all the time because unless the Chaitanya activates it, mind does not. Even when you get up from sleep, you must be wondering how. When you are in totally deep sleep, how are you getting up in the morning? Who makes you get up? Your mind, your senses, everything is totally sleep. Even sometimes alarm does not wake you up. Sometimes even thanni potalum pudichu ulikina irukkuram. Sometimes if he is so dead tired in the night and he goes to sleep, unless you are poured water and shaken up, he doesn't get up. That means what? How he gets up? Only because of the Chaitanya. The Atma alone is responsible for making you wake up. And when you go to sleep also, nobody knows when one goes to sleep. You go to bed, fine. At what exact point in time you go to sleep, we don't know.
Yes.
Because when you go to sleep, all your functioning organs and mind, everything is gone. Then how you are alive? What keeps you alive? That which wakes you up in the morning is what is keeping you alive in the sleep also. That is called Atma. So, because of Atma, you are performing all action, but Atma itself is alupta drik, meaning, in Shastra talks it, always alert, always being. It is not sleeping. It doesn't sleep. That is why it's called alupta drik, always open. So, that is what he is saying. Total, in the sense, reality. The being of the reality of Atma is totally diverse from the reality of the body, mind, senses. One is changeless, the other is changing. But without the changeless, the changing cannot be activated, cannot perform. Right from mind onwards, all your niyati, order, everything has to get connected. Even the connection. Okay, between the mind and the eyes, how is the connection happening? Suppose you are seeing something, but your mind is elsewhere. Even though mind is there behind the ears, because your mind is elsewhere, you won't hear. It happens. All the time it happens. That means what? There is a connection between the mind and the organ. Who makes that connection possible? The niyati. So the niyati, the order is all, anything for which they don't have an answer is being controlled by Chaitanya, the Atma, the being. In our life, you ask one more question, you don't have an answer. What is the answer? Is Chaitanya. That is why science stops at one more question. It will go for the next PhD. So that is Chaitanya. That is because what ultimately science or any subject does is it postulates what is already there, the reality, and he makes a connection and postulates. That's all. But there are so many connections which are still pending to be discovered. And who is making those connections possible? Even though you have not discovered, it is happening. That is happening. That connection is Chaitanya. That is why Bharupam is called Chaitanya Chit Rupam. Sat is the being, is awareful being. Being is Sat, awareful is Chit. So that is how the whole thing is happening. All performed by the Upadhi with the various instruments at its disposal. Atma will just illuminate, not being affected at all. That is the truth. So I will send one writer, just go through that. We will help in the next class also.
Shit.
Purnamidam.
Namidam
पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ ॐ स्वामी ॐ